Uh, Anything you're
Hey,
interested in. Yeah, it's going live now. Um,
everybody. This actually a poem which I memorized a few months ago. It's Shakespeare.
okay.
This
Let me
famous.
just wait a second. All right, let me.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go. Welcome to our morning show here with Bruno and Vladimir. We're gonna have a cool conversation. Now we're live, Vladimir. All
All
right,
right.
you want to start with the poem?
Yeah, sure. This is Shakespeare. All the world's a stage. You know this piece of text.
I
Piece
do
of.
not. No, I'm excited to hear it. I'm
Yeah, I
excited
guess
to
it's
hear
going to
it.
be hard. It's going to be hard to understand since it's in old English, but I'll
Oh,
try to do. I'll try to do my best. All
okay.
right. So all the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being seven ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace with woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the part, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good cape and line, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise souls and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into the linen slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful horse was saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank. His big manly voice turning against toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.
Okay. Well, yeah, it was kind of tricky to understand, but man, it's impressive that you can even remember that.
Yeah, I learn all like new words. Whenever I read Shakespeare, it puzzles me. I started studying poetry almost at the same time when I started thinking in English. It's like 2017, and I basically was reading like lots of poetry. And every time, it's still even now, I take any poet like Byron, Shakespeare, whatever,
Yeah.
and always I don't understand like there's so many words which I don't know, and there's like I can't even imagine how many how many words you should learn to be able to understand everything, to know all words. It's strange.
Yeah, I think English in particular is a strange language because it does have an incredible amount of words.
It's half a million.
Yeah. Don't you think it has more words than other languages, or at least a lot of other languages?
Well, I don't know. Like it seems it has more than the Russian language, even though like when before I started studying English, I thought that Russian is one of the most complicated language and there are more words than in any other languages.
Mm-hmm.
But later I realized that, it all depends on there are lots of dialects in English, so and in Russian as well, and in any language.
Yeah. No, and I mean, well, I mean, it's not that English is maybe like super complicated. Of course, it's complicated, but maybe I don't know if I would say it's like terribly complicated. I think Russian, for example, is probably more complicated, even though
Yeah,
I
but
don't speak Russian, so I can't really say it. But just in terms of the quantity of words, I think the vocabulary, for some reason, in English, it and I say this comparing it to the other languages that I do speak, and it seems that English just has this kind of like vocabulary on steroids because there are so many different words that appear, and not that everybody knows them, like you said, even English speakers, a lot of them don't know all I mean, nobody knows all the words, but a lot of those words that you just used, I mean, they're not used in common. They speak,
No,
but yeah,
there's
but there's so many. There's so many.
there's a list of 3,000 words in English, and there's 3,000 words. If you know them, it's basically 90% of all vocabulary that is used in modern times. So if you know 30,000 words, it's like 90% of the time when you read something or listen something, these words are going to be used, and 10% is like the rest of
The rest, then it's how
the
many?
rest
How many?
half a billion, no,
How many did you? How many did you say? 30,000?
no, 500.
No, no, no. The ones that are 90%.
3,000.
3,000.
30,000, just 30,000. It's almost nothing. But 500,000, it's estimated. Like, but you know, these 500,000, it's like you may take one word, like say, saying, said. It all going to be different words.
Yeah.
So like all forms.
No, I
And
mean for sure.
adjective. You may take a noun, make it an adjective, make it a verb, and it's supposed to be our different words.
Yeah.
On average.
Oh, there are so many. Yeah, for
But
sure.
in Polish, I don't know. Maybe they do it on purpose, so they use some strange words, which
Well, they're
you're
playing.
not supposed to hear anywhere else, but only in this context.
Well, they're playing with language, right? So to a degree, yeah, they're doing it on purpose. And
Yeah,
even
so
in English literature, I mean, you go read an English novel, and they come up with like a bunch of different words that you probably haven't seen before.
yeah,
And
but still, in novel, I can understand almost everything. So I've read English novels, and it doesn't, it's not hard for me. But when I read poetry, like almost all the time, I have to look up the dictionary.
yeah,
And
but it kind of depends. It kind of depends. If you read Shakespeare, I'm sure there's a lot of words that you don't understand.
Yeah,
Like
more. Of course, more modern poets probably they use more, more simple vocabulary. I don't know, but it strikes me that I can't like know everything. Like I mean, in Russian, I take a book and I read everything, I understand everything. I don't have problems with understanding. I don't need to look up some words in dictionary. But here, it takes a lot of time, but still, it's fun. I mean.
it's fun.
I enjoy it. Sometimes
It's fun to learn and to acquire these words. It's a long life, lifelong pursuit. So.
Yeah, sure. So this idea of inner government when we stopped the last time.
Yeah.
So you
talk a little bit about that, so people catch up. People that are listening.
What it is?
Yeah, just so what is it? What is the self-government government?
It's like creating a kind of framework, like every day dedicating 20, 30 minutes and analyzing what you're doing and basically writing it down and setting some goals and figuring out how all this works. I mean, if you may, it's like government, but it's like your personal self-control. So you basically use writing to see how you can organize your behavior. Since sometimes you may say, like last time you said, for example, I'm going to do that for the next week.
Then,
no, doesn't happen like that.
But well, I have talked about it with a friend and everything. I explained to him this notion of self-government because I was very interested in it.
Probably, if you started writing it like at the same day. And if you decided like on paper, so one thing is when you say like I'm going to do that, and then you may not going to do that. But if you write it down on paper, like I'm going to do this, it strengthens your desire and your motivation, your will, really to really do that. And then if you don't do that, you have to write down, oh, I didn't do that because of X, Y, and Z. And then there's starts like self dialogue.
So what's your method for the self-government? So how do you have a routine for it?
Well, it's as simple as writing down everything what's happening and dedicating. It's just about time. So time and that's all. And you don't need anything.
Is that something
time and piece of paper to put it on. And I prefer to use my journals. I don't like on paper. I don't write on papers. It's like, you know, like real thin. So I take it, write down, and then I like to read it as well. Since today I may have one mood, tomorrow I have another mood. It changes, and I may forget about what I was doing before. But if I read it at the end of the week or at the end of every month, I can clearly see what I forgot, what I wanted to do, what I didn't do, what I didn't accomplish, and it helps you to see like bigger picture. And also, I have some funny comparison related to last time we also discussed government and this civilization, how it developed, and
Yes.
some parallels between government and a person. So I think like our civilization is a kind of product of recorded history. So when we started writing things down, when we started writing, we developed our civilization and writing. So we have a history. And if we take a person, we may also project it on an individual. So if you have a history, recorded history, day after day, you kind of grow on a psychological level. Probably you've heard such a term or expression like psychological age.
Psychological age?
Yeah, it's like your biological or physical age. Like you may be 30, 40, 50 years old, right? But on psychological age, it's kind of different. So you may be 50 years old, but on a psychological age, you're just a child, and you're underdeveloped. Or it may be vice versa. So you may be 10 years old, but you may be as wise as Socrates, for example, right?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So, and I think it has a direct connection to if you start, like in my case, when I started writing down things, it's just my conscious life started at this moment. So what was going on before, I remember it, but it was kind of vague, and I really couldn't understand what I was doing. But as soon as I started recording, now I have 12 years of personal history, and it's as if to have thousands of years of history in a civilization.
So what's the method that you use? You just sit down and you write down what you did during the day, the things that you thought, the things that you want to do in the future, and is that something that you do at the end of the day, at night?
Well, when I was writing in Russian, mostly I was writing at the end of the day. But when I shifted to English, I started doing it at morning. And but basically, it was recollecting what I did the day before. And I think at first it was just stupid, everything what was going on.
Basically. So you do it in the morning, just to be clear.
Yeah, but when I started in Russian, it's what can I remember? It's let's assume that this is the only one day which I have. So it's my life. How can I describe it? How can I make sense of it? And then I write down whatever is on my mind. Probably this event. Today I talked to Bruno. Okay, we discussed this, and that. It was funny. It was silly, whatever. I read some Shakespearean poem, or and next day basically do the same. You just every day you may look at it as your stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
You may say that every time, when you are awake, you think. You don't always put your thoughts in words, but you still think. You still perceive things. You may say that what's the speed of speech? How fast you can speak? You probably speak on average it's 100 to 150 words per minute. So if you measure it, it's going to give you 6,000 to 9,000 words per hour, and during the day it's going to be 100,000 words approximately. It's 96,000. And if you put it in a book, it's 300 pages. So if you take the stream of consciousness, the speed of speech, you put it in a book, it's 300 pages your brain, your mind records every day, whether you're aware of it.
Really?
Yeah, whether you're aware of it or not. So, and you just distinguish from these 300 pages, you just take the most valuable, experience, what's now is important for you, and you just kind of summarize it. That's all. Next day you do the same. Next day you do the same. And then at the end of, as I said, at the end of the month, you just read it, see, compare what was going on. But again, it takes time. But it's like, for me, it's like thinking. So when I say the word thinking, that's thinking. When you think something in your mind, when you don't write it down or don't put it in language, it's just daydreaming. But this is kind of reflective. So you reflect, you try to figure out what's going on. Describe what's going on. Like, use language to make it more clear. Since, like, let's suppose now we have a conversation, right? And if we put it in words on paper, it's going to be for about, again, 900,000 words. But if you sit down after the conversation and try to make sense of it, you probably will write just half of the page or one page.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting. Where did you come up with this idea of this personal history and journaling? Is that something that you read somewhere, or was it just something that occurred to you?
Well, the first time I tried when I was in school, it was 8th grade, I guess, and I fell in love with a girl, with my classmate, and she didn't fall in love with me. And
classic story.
Yeah,
every boy goes through that, right?
Yeah, and I decided to write my thoughts, took a notebook and started writing down my thoughts, and it was so terrible. I mean, I was so afraid that somebody will find this journal and read my thoughts. I wrote on the first page that, if you find it, don't read. If you read, I'll kill you. Like, one had like, no, if you read, like, I'll kill you. I kill myself. Don't read, please. Just and yeah, I was hiding it in my room, like in some places where nobody can find. Anyway, so after several months, I did it for just 1 month, and I didn't do it, and every day it was just maybe 10-15 notes. And after a month, my feeling kind of was exhausted. There was a vacation, like 3 holidays, vacation, 3 summer months. I didn't see the girl. I forgot about her. And then I reread this journal, and I was thinking, wow, it's so dumb. It's like whatever I wrote, it's like I was so dumb. I need to make it better. I need to take the whole journal and rewrite it in a clever way. Yeah. So I just took another journal, rewrote it, and fired the first one. I mean, I burned it.
Really? You actually burned it?
I burned the first one, and the second one, I thought, this is already clever. That's cool. I can save it. And then after half a year, I reread the second one, and I didn't like it as well. And I said, no, I also burned it.
You burned it again?
It was 1998. So the year was 1998. And for 10 years, I didn't repeat it. But after 10 years, I guess I was influenced by Castaneda. So I read his books, Teaching of Don Juan, Journey to Ixtlan. And Castaneda basically was writing. He was like writing junkie. I mean, he had journals, and the whole story which he describes is basically his journals when he describes his experience with meeting some shaman of Mexico, whatever. I don't want to spoil, but the whole idea is after I read his books, I started writing journals again in 2008. But not every day again. It was 3 years since 2008, 2011. I was basically recording some important events. It wasn't just personal history. It was, something happened. I want to write it down, something unusual. And I sit and, write. But after 3 years, I probably already mentioned it. I discovered the journal of my grandfather, who was in World War II. And he started writing journal at the first day when the World War II began. And he managed to write it for half a year. Then he was captured by Nazis, and but journal somehow survived. And there's some terrible conditions. He just, he didn't eat anything for a couple of days. He was sick. There was like low temperature, like -10, whatever, and he was sleeping on the ground, like coughing and and still he continued like writing every day, like at least half a page. Wow. And I really, it made so huge impression on me. I was thinking, wow, like if he could do that, like in these conditions, what stops me from trying to do the same? Like I live in a comfortable world, nothing bothers me.
Absolutely.
I can try to do as well.
That's fascinating. Yeah. And so he wrote for 6 months, and then he was captured by the Nazis.
I know nothing about it, about what happened later. I just have this journal of half a year.
So and then it stopped after half a year.
Yeah, it stopped after half a year, and he had some wound, or he was in hospital, and he didn't go back to war. And there's a very complicated story. I never communicated with him. I never see him, and all information that I have about my grandfather just this journal.
It's only that window of 6 months that you were able to know your grandfather just by reading that journal.
Yeah, I asked something about him. Like I asked my father, but we started communicating in a few years before he died. And it was I already was like an adult. I mean, I didn't communicate with him when I was a child, since he abandoned my mom when she was pregnant, and my mom married another man, and I learned that this man wasn't my father only when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I met my real father only when I was like 20, and I actually didn't communicate with him a lot, but I got this journal from him. Like French influence, yeah. And since 2011, basically for 5 years before I shifted to English, I was writing and trying to.
So was the journal the catalyst for you to start writing your own journal? Was that the thing that made you want to do it?
Yeah,
you found that journal?
As I said, for 3 years I was writing my own journal. I mean, just some events, but his journal made me to write every day. So this idea that I have to write down everything. When you think, so it's not just only his journal. Of course, I read lots of literature. I was influenced a lot by Russian classic writers, and I wanted to write like them. I wanted to learn to be a writer, and I understood that. I didn't want to write some stupid novels to make something up. I wanted to record what was going on, like real kind of realistic style. And for me, it's like a book. So I perceive this as, I'm just writing a book about this character, Vladimir Svitashev.
I'm very, very, very interested in that. I mean, that's fascinating, man. That's really fascinating.
But I would tell you that for a couple of years, dull. So you have to force yourself to do that. If probably it's almost impossible to find natural motivation. Since you write down shit, you see it, and it's like, who cares about this crap? Like, even I don't care about it. But then,
so you kind of need to go to force it at first. You need to.
Yeah. Or you need certain motivation, just talking to me, I don't think it's going to motivate you. But if you think about it on your own, if you find some purpose, it's like studying language, basically. So you have to have certain motivation to study language. If you just, think that you want to learn language because it's going to make your life better or easier, it usually doesn't work. But when you know exactly what you're doing, why are you doing that? That probably makes a lot of sense.
So I find this idea that you mentioned before, it's an interesting idea, the fact that a civilization is connected to recording its history, right? The fact that you start writing down and you start creating these stories about a common experience, that what creates a civilization. And also in the same way, you can do that for yourself, for one person. You're creating your own civilization by creating your own personal history.
And you learn on yourself since you don't know lots of things about yourself. I mean, this famous Greek expression, gnotise auton, like know yourself or learn yourself.
Yeah.
Noecite ipsum in Latin. So you just, whenever I reread what and I actually did that. I did that this week. So I reread, I started rereading my journals, which I wrote since 2016. It's 2016. It was the time when I came to this English speaking club.
Yes.
In March, and I started reading my journals from this period, and I wanna read it to the present moment. So I guess it'll take me a couple of weeks, but I for 3 approaches I got through half a year, even more. It's like now I finished at August 3rd, and I started January 1st. So it was like almost the whole 2016 daily writing, and I got it in 4 hours, and I basically relived like 7 months in just few hours, and I remembered almost everything. So whenever I read it, wow, this it feels as if you experienced the same what was going on. And it's like 5 years. I look at it, man. It's like it happened like yesterday. I remember everything. Like
Wow. It's very interesting, yeah, to have your own life documented so you can relive it at any point.
yeah, one like you asked me about like the method. So the most important, like you must be honest. Since you'll try to deceive yourself, man. Like I want to, I was reading this journal this week, and I was thinking, man, there's like it's brilliant, but there's like some pages, and I want to get them out. So if I can just erase 10% of it, it's going to be brilliant, and it's so fascinating. And then I was thinking, no, stop. It's like I need to. I shouldn't erase anything because this makes it perfect. Like this little stupid thing, this like something embarrassing that I didn't like. This actually make it whole. Whereas if I want just to take juice, it's not gonna be like it's not gonna be real. So
Right, that's what makes it genuine. That those
genuine,
parts
right?
that you want to remove are what makes it genuine.
Yeah, but at the beginning, again, it's like you start writing and you want to write only like you want to present yourself as a good person, as a smart person, and you will not write a lot of things. You just okay, this is not about me. But then you gradually learn, and I guess the point when you really start understanding yourself, you already don't care. It's like you really write down who you are, what you are doing, like discover your person real, like their famous ideas like shadow work, like Carl Jung, shadow work.
No, I don't know.
I'll explain like as as well as I can. So in childhood, usually people have some trauma, and it comes from you have lots of when you are a child, you have lots of. It's not necessarily should be some real trauma. It may be just you may want something, and your parents just tell you it's like you shouldn't do that, and you have to repress certain desires, certain emotions to live in a society. Like there are lots of things that you have to repress. When you are a child, you basically surrounded by people who tell you what to do, and something you just repress it, and eventually, and it's not going anywhere, just inside of you. And so shadow work, it's basically discovering what you repressed when you were a child and trying to somehow implement it in your personality, in your current.
So something that you repress from your personality.
Yeah, it's like it's maybe something like you like to laugh, right? And you laugh, but then like your parents tell you don't be a jerk, right?
Yes.
And okay, it seems like some stupid thing, but it may just live inside you and bother you, and it's like it goes. Jung calls shadow, like all this.
Yeah, it's like you've been conditioned, right? You've been conditioned to repress some things, but those things are a part of you, and you
Yeah,
don't even
exactly.
realize it.
Exactly. So when you just relieve these parts, they go on like on the surface, and where you don't when you are unaware of it, it basically it's a cause of all sorts of negative emotions when you feel depressed or when you feel anxious, and you don't understand why. So, but
Yes.
when you discover it, it basically like you may if you understand what's going on with you, it's very hard to. Uh, it's very hard to be really depressed since you go, oh, this bothers me because something else happened, or I even can't understand how. Like if you understand, it seems that there is no way to experience any negative emotions. I mean, you may experience them on purpose, but when you understand like anger, let's suppose,
Mhm.
so you are angry. If you understand the emotion, you basically may control your anger, and then
So in this process of creating your personal history, the journaling, you're also understanding yourself in a
yeah,
way
it's like
that you wouldn't otherwise.
yeah, I even called it like psycho like self-analysis, like not psychoanalysis but self-analysis.
Yes.
So meaning that you basically doing this work, analyzing the content of your mind.
Well, that's very interesting. Um, do you like anime? Do you know what anime is?
Anime?
Yeah.
What's that?
Just like those Japanese cartoons.
Okay, I got it. Well, I'm not a big fan, though. I watched few anime, and
I have this is I started YouTube last year in probably in September or something to that effect, September, the summer. I think it was more like in September maybe. And so it's very new for me. At first, actually, I thought, well, I'm going to talk about football, because I like football and people are interested in football. So I thought it was going to be a big success. Well, I mean, it wasn't really. I mean, I had more views than I've had with my following things, but because people will like watch stuff on about football, but it wasn't a big success. I think to this day I have like 35 subscribers, something like that. So I'm not generally speaking, I haven't been able to get a lot of subscribers in anything on YouTube. But so I kind of dropped the football because I realized that it wasn't something that it was like I like it a lot. I still watch football games, and like I follow it quite closely, but it's not something that is like super important to me personally. Like it's something fun that I do. It's like a passion,
Mhm.
but it's not something. How to say it? It's not like so deep that I believe my life is more valuable with it in my life, right? So I try to change to something that I absolutely was compelled to do, and that's like conversations and philosophy, understanding things. That to me is valuable, right? Is more valuable to me personally. So I started doing like YouTube things about that. Also, I started a film channel.
Yeah,
Speaking
I checked it today. Like the last, I didn't watch, but this Mortal Kombat.
The Mortal Kombat.
The
That
begin.
one is that one actually sucks, to be honest.
I
Don't
listened
watch
for
that
you.
one. Watch a different one because that one is basically me saying, well, it's not just me. It's I do it with a couple friends, but basically, I mean that movie sucks. We didn't know going into the movie. This new Mortal Kombat movie is like complete trash. So we're just basically saying that the movie's trash. Watch a different video because I mean,
I
there's no point really in watching us like talk about how shitty the movie is. We have
why not? I actually like this. When people not well, probably you didn't criticize the movie, but you try to express what you feel, what
Yeah,
you think.
yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not a very interesting conversation. It's just a
Uh,
bad movie, really. There are more interesting conversations about other movies. But
yeah,
but
it's called it.
so I'm I took a detour just to explain
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah.
But
Then you anime. You started from anime.
yeah, so yesterday we were gonna do a video about this anime movie, which is called A Silent Voice in English. I think another translation is The Shape of Voice, or something like that. There's a couple of different translations, but A Silent Voice, I think, is the main one in English, because it's from Japanese, right? So there's a couple. Sometimes there's a couple of different titles in English, but A Silent Voice, I think, is the main title in English. And it was interesting to me because and we ended up not doing the podcast because it got pretty late, but we will sometime this week. But I had never seen an anime that really was a drama anime. It's really about emotions. Usually anime for me, it's about samurai or just some action stuff, and I do like it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan like my friends, for example, but some of my friends, but I do like it. But this was completely different. This was it was about emotions, and the theme that I found really interesting in this movie. I would recommend it to you. I think you might enjoy it if you can watch it. A Silent Voice.
Silent voice.
A Silent Voice, yeah. And it's about it's about bullying in school and understanding oneself. I think that's why, to me, it was so interesting. It's about understanding yourself, which is what we're talking about today, right? And something in particular in the movie, it's this idea of self-hatred. I mean, it's a very deep movie. It's a very like heavy movie, even though it's with cartoons. That's why, like, I was a little bit. It wasn't my suggestion. It's like I do it with a couple of friends, and they like anime, and they suggested this, and I thought, well, this is gonna be a bore. This is gonna be so boring and drama anime. And then I started watching it. It was like, man, it's so sad, but then so deep as well. And I was like, oh, this is making me think about things, and feel. And there's a big idea of like self-hatred, which I think is something that I don't know if that's the case for you, right? I don't know if it's the case for everybody, but I think a lot of people have to go through a certain unpleasant emotions when they look at themselves. They have to kind of process like a certain self-hatred. Like, and again, I don't know if that's your case. And
Yeah, to be honest, I almost never experienced. Maybe in school a little bit, but
yeah.
no.
So it's
I'm
good, but
I'm somehow ended up on the opposite pole. So I have like self-love.
self-love. Well, but
Yeah.
that's I guess that's the healthy part of it. It's self-love. But also, for some people, there's self-hatred.
Yeah.
But in any case, I think either if it's self-hatred and self-love, I think this ability and this process, this journey of processing those feelings, I think it's extremely valuable, because those things need to be processed. It doesn't really matter if it's self-hatred or self-love. At the end of the day, you need to process these things in order to live a happy life or a balanced life within yourself, because if not, it's just there bothering you. It's just there kind of like out of control, and like you said, like this journaling, this personal history might be a very good tool to understand yourself. And when you understand the causes, you can understand the effects, right? You can understand what leads to what, and
basically
you're better equipped to deal with it.
Yeah, and when you like self-hatred, right? Where does it come from? You basically probably not all the time, but as it seems to me, you are not satisfied with who you are and what you're doing. And
it can be a number of different things.
And maybe a trauma, childhood,
Like,
but essentially essentially you are not agree with what's going on, right? You are not agree with your consciousness and your like world are different, and you want it to be otherwise.
Yes, and you
And
want
when
yourself to be otherwise as well. You want
yeah,
yourself
yeah,
to be otherwise.
yeah, and always it's just your wish.
Yes.
Self hatred
Well, with
basically.
self-hatred,
Yeah,
what you
it's
got to
like
do
I
mostly, you have to understand that this is what you are and you have to accept it. That's
right,
the most
right,
important
right, right,
part.
and then you grow out of it,
And then
right?
you
So
grow, you try to improve some things, but really the most important thing is you need to understand what you are and you accept it. I mean,
yeah,
that's a very
and
important part.
how you got there as well.
Yes.
And for me, as a determinist, I think, like it helped me to figure out that no, I had lots of problems in childhood, but and I always blamed sometimes myself, sometimes other people, sometimes just nature, God, whatever. But when I figure out this determinism, what this is exactly how it supposed to be, and this is exactly like all I need to do was just to be able to understand that, like what happened, and now I see it clearly. But it's still, you never see it clearly. There are always like deeper layers.
Right.
You may clarify it like infinitely, but until like when you start working on it, when you start reflecting on your life, on your like on all events which are going on around, you have a better picture, and it seems that you may perceive reality clearly, and it helps you to to manage your emotions to the level when you can really
Yes.
this get rid of this self-hatred. But I don't like it's for me it's just guessing, since I don't remember any moment in my life when I really was I'm a bad person or something. It's like even when I was in most troubles in childhood, I
Yeah.
still had this self, you know, I wouldn't call it self-love, but it was kind of, you know,
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I don't think there's a right or wrong necessarily. It depends on the person, the personality, your background. It depends on a number of issues. Like people that are defective in some way, I mean, they tend to develop that naturally. That's the case in the movie. She's deaf, she can't hear anything. So you're special from the beginning, from childhood, that you're special. And in the movie she feels very bad because she knows that she's a nuisance to people, which is not, I mean, it's not really true, but that's the perception that she has, that she's a nuisance to the world, to people around her, and she feels bad about that. And there's one moment in the movie that is particularly powerful, that I found particularly powerful, that this other girl is telling her, and well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil the movie, but this other girl, she's attacking her, right? She's saying all these mean things about her, and she's attacking her physically, even, I think, at some point. And she says, I don't know. Actually, I don't remember what she says, but she says something to the extent to something like, like you, yeah, I know that you hate me. I know that you hate me for everything I've done to you. And she says, I don't hate you. I hate myself. So that's when you understand the self-hatred part, because she in fact, yeah, it's a matter of hating herself, and that's what self-hatred is, like you have a real problem, not so much with other people or other parts of existence. You have a problem with who you are, and then you have to process that. And
yeah, and the only one who can do that is like it's you, right? So no matter
yeah.
like you may have 77 sages telling you what to do, right? But it's at the end of the day, it's not impossible. You have to figure out it on your own.
Yeah, it's a
No matter no
personal
matter no
journey.
matter no
Yeah.
matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter what kind of problems you have, like unless you uh, take that effort and start analyzing it, like nobody no side no, I actually I don't believe in psychotherapy or some uh, forms of help
Hmm.
unless you are not. It's like the same with studying. So if you may have the best teachers, right? But if you don't want to study, if you don't want to learn, nobody is going to make you study. And in the opposite way, if you have if you want to study, you don't need teachers. You just study and grow. And so
that's the best way. Yeah, that's the best way you can this idea of self journaling and self improvement, self understanding, self studying. I mean, yeah, that's the most effective. Yeah,
I talked with many people about this journaling and stuff, and some of them had this experience, and many of them, it didn't surprise me, but many of them didn't do that exactly because they they start writing and they feel stupid and they hate what they write. They don't know how to describe whatever was going on. They can't manage to be like, they can't be consistent, they can't do it every day. And then it's like, it seems that you try to offer something valuable, right? So I tell you, like, listen, you may just do that and it's going to change your life, or it changed my life and probably it may change yours. But then people start doing that, they can't do that, and then sometimes even blame you that you give them this advice, and it makes them more frustrated. And so it's like, you want to help, but then your help, it creates even more problems. And if you have this trauma, if you have these problems and with self-hatred, I guess like journaling may be a terrible issue as well. So you may discover things even like which are going to make you even more depressed. So it's actually it's very hard to say, but
it's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I think it's still important. I think it's still important because you have to understand it at some point. You have to understand what's causing the problems that you have. You have if you want to solve them. If you want to solve them at some point, that's the journey.
For my personal experience, it was the most valuable things which I discovered, like, in the whole world, like basically writing down thoughts and thinking and reflecting on, trying to study myself. And there was something I wanted to say, but I lost the track of my,
okay.
Probably it will come in a few seconds.
It's okay.
So it was the most valuable thing, writing thoughts. And I had I had terrible experience. So before I discovered it, I had such deep psychological problems, and it was it helped me to get from basically from hell.
Okay.
So I don't have a better word to say where how it helped me to organize myself, to organize my behavior, because before it was like real hell. And then a couple of years of writing, and I started gradually grow and getting out of it. And probably now, like not now, but maybe 5-7 years ago, it seems like I escaped from the hell. And then you communicate with people, and you basically say, like, guys, you are in hell. There's a way to escape, but nobody believes you. It's hard to convince anybody.
Okay, no, that's very interesting.
In terms of we discussed before, like attention, memory, imagination.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably valuable tool to develop in these faculties. Just memory, you have to use you don't memorize anything, you have to use your memory every day, and then you use it when you read it, and basically you train your memory by using it and applying it first. So you have to train your attention, since this 20-30 minutes you are focused on one thing, and you are not distracted by your phone, by TV, by whatever. And of course, imagination, it's like you never describe the same experience. You add lots of things which you just make them up. As if we try to describe our conversation right now, there will be lots of things that we will make up just to make it logical and say that how it was developed.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, I can't talk for very much longer. Let's do like 10 more minutes, because I have to take care of my daughter. But let me because I think that's a good transition. So how do you make sense of this discussion? I mean, obviously we've been talking about like personal history and a method to create a personal history and to create an understanding of yourself. But do you have any other thoughts on that that you want to link to that? like there's something else that you want to say
I
about this
actually
idea of
prepare.
personal history and creating an understanding of oneself, or something else that you wanted to mention about anything else.
Yeah, give me a second. There was an idea. Well, just not. I recollected, but just another. I remember when I started doing that, I also like daily writing. Before that, before I found the journal of my grandfather, I wrote my first novel, like short, like 30 pages, my first experience. And I realized something that I couldn't realize before. And it was the novel was about my, like, one day in my life. And this day, it was April 13 of 2007, when I broke up with my girlfriend, with whom I lived for 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years. And I was writing about this day in 2011. And it's like four years after.
Yeah.
And, I got access to the, like, at first, I didn't, like, there were 30 pages in this novel.
Yes.
Maybe 15 pages I made up. It's like all my imagination.
Right.
But this imagination was based on the real story. And at first I didn't remember anything, but I decided that I'm gonna, I just tried to remember what was going on. And I started writing, and I was able to remember almost, like, so much details of this day that it surprised me. Like, oh, wow, that's like when I started understanding how memory works. Like, when you pay attention, when you have, like, certain amount of time when you are not distracted by anything, you basically may remember everything what was going on in your life. And I got this access to my memory, but it's like, it's kind of, I can explain it, but it seems as if you really can remember everything what you are doing. But you have to, maybe you have to sit and wait for 10 hours or for 15 hours or for 20 hours. It relates to this shadow work. So basically, you try to remember your childhood, and you just go in in a certain moment, like, okay, it's whatever, first day in school, and then you sit and wait for an hour, and then some thoughts come up. Wow, this is like something you completely forgot, but wow. And then you try to make sense of it, so you start writing, and it's like you write a story, and it may be a story about, like, some character, but then the story starts growing, and you see that this is like your story. It's like you start remembering something that you completely forgot. So in my case, as I said, like 3 months before I started writing daily journals, I remember I started writing another, like, novel which I haven't finished. But in this novel, I tried to remember another day, and it was 2007, a little bit later, just one conversation, and I forgot this all, and I, like, spent 5-6 days writing this, this novel, and I remembered almost, like, the whole conversation with like, almost with everything what had been said in this conversation, and there was, like, some logic in it, and I, wow, that's so cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man.
So memory, attention, imagination, so basically helps you to train your mental faculties, and I think it's,
well, I mean, that process that you talked about, it's partially might be because, you were trying to unlock some doors, like,
yeah, but
we have all these memories within us that we don't usually access. So when you're trying to access those memories that are not readily available, maybe you need the time to go through those halls and before you find the right door, and then you need to figure out how to unlock it, and eventually you might get there, but you need that time of reflection in order to,
yeah, but it also gives you a kind of power, like self what's the word, so it gives you certain, again, like, you start believing yourself more when you see how your mind works, and when you understand that you may get access to, such a powerful source of, whatever knowledge. Just you like. So I'm losing. I'm
No,
losing track. Yeah,
I understand. I understand. I think
I
yeah, it's an interesting. It's a powerful method. I'm gonna start doing the journaling as well. I mean, I'm excited, but I have to keep talking about this every once in a while with you, so you can keep me on check.
yeah. You ask about the notes from underground. Like have
Yes,
you
well, let's finish with that. Just can talk about it really quickly. Yeah, I do want to do the. Actually, it was my brother-in-law. He wants to do this conversation with me about notes from the underground because he read it a long time ago and he really wanted to reread it and talk to me about it. And I thought it would be interesting if you join us if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I'd like to join.
yeah. And I've never read Dostoevsky,
No,
so
it's a short novel.
yeah. So I'm interested in delving a little bit into Dostoevsky and
There's a very unique view on determinism. He describes some, there's some passages when he criticizes 1+1 = 2.
okay.
or
And
there's
also, I don't know if you've read other stuff by Dostoevsky.
yeah, I read almost everything.
Almost everything. So I'm kind of interested in doing this one and then maybe a couple other novellas. Which one do you think is better, the double or the gambler?
Devil,
The double. It's called
double,
the double.
double, the
Yeah,
double.
yeah, you. And there's a
Oh,
movie
okay,
too.
yeah, yes, yeah. No,
Yeah, that there's
I need to
someone that looks exactly like you, and
I need to translate back, and
yes, of course,
from,
yeah,
I remember the names in Russian. Yeah,
yeah.
gambler. I think gambler makes sense, but I would like to discuss more. These novels like devils or demons.
Mhm.
It's another novel by Dostoevsky,
Okay.
and what was there was one which I particularly like, but
Yeah, I guess the translation version English is
yeah,
complicated.
the gambler. It's also short. I guess it's like
Yeah, it's very short.
150 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
I was reading it when I was a gambler.
yes, I think that one will be interesting as well because you can relate. Um,
It helped me to quit gambling. But
so yeah, I mean, Notes from the Underground would be the first one. Yeah.
yeah, actually, a few more minutes. I just like to talk about this book club. Book club.
Yeah.
Have you read this article which I posted in our group, Minnesota?
No, I don't think I saw it. About what?
It's
About
like
book club?
yeah, it's like reading one book a month and talking about it.
Oh yes. I saw that. Yeah. Well, let's start with Notes from the Underground and see. Like, I don't know if I can.
I already started from Castaneda, this
Oh, Castaneda.
journey to Ixtlan. Actually, today I had a talk with Lexi,
Yeah.
and I persuaded him to read Journey to Ixtlan as well, and to start this book club next week, discuss Journey to Ixtlan.
Okay.
And we there's a certain
send me the title on Facebook so I can do some research.
it's 10 hours. It's also there's an audiobook. It's 10 hours and it's on YouTube. I'll send you the link to the audiobook. And so, and my idea is to read it. I'll just explain it a little bit more. To read it for the whole month. So we start and we may talk like not just once, but we start, for example, read the book today or this month, May. And at the end of the week, we have a conversation. And you may say, for example, I read like 5 chapters, and I say I read 2 chapters. And then we start discussing what everybody read. Next week we start talking about this, like continue talking. Like you may say, oh, I already read the book, I'm the first, I already know how it ends.
Okay.
And then there's going to be some sort of competition, and it's going to be very exciting. But I already, like, I suggest to read books which I already read, so I want to reread them in English.
Okay.
On purpose.
No, yes, I'll try. I'll try to get that book. I mean, I have a problem of time. Time is not. I don't have that much time. So
yeah, but not from underground. I'd like to participate also in the conversation, and I probably will reread some, not the whole book, but the first part, since I didn't like the second part. It's like there are two parts, and the second part is more like the first part is just ideas of this one man, and basically it's like it's not even like a novel. He basically talks to to themselves to himself about some particular ideas. But the second part is more, it's more like a story, and I didn't like for me
You
it's
don't
like
like
some
it.
stupid story.
Okay. Well, I'm
All right.
excited to read it and discuss it with you guys. And thanks for the conversation today, Vladimir. Thanks
Yeah, thank you.
for people, if you get the chance to watch this. Thank you for watching us, and put your comments on the comment section if you want to talk to us directly. And